Hi guys, I'm Gray Buck. Today we're going to be talking about Lake Eufaula for the MLF Pro Circuit event. This event did not go how I was hoping. We're going to start with day 2. That one was a little bit better. I caught 3 keepers, I believe. I was throwing the Z-Man Goat. You can see it here. Oops. Getting away from me. That big old 1-ounce angler tungsten weights. Heavy. You can see there, we got our angler tungsten weight. It's 1 ounce. You can see it right there. They have painted on there so you can tell. You can you're not fumbling around trying to figure out which one's which. I had this on a Hayabusa. It's the FPP Straight. It's a 4.0. It's a HD version, so it's super heavy duty. You're not going to bend that hook out no matter how hard you're yanking on those fish. That's the Z-Man Goat, and I was throwing a black and blue one. I like that because I'm punching those. There was a lot of hyacinth mats. And some other vegetation that was blown up against the bank. But I was running up the river on day 2, and I was just punching those mats. And anywhere there was like a little indent, you could throw in there, catch them. The bigger ones were hard for me to come by. I caught a lot of little ones, and you'll see some bowfin that I caught that were just monstrous. So you throw in there, you get that big bite, thinking you finally caught that one you needed, and of course it wasn't. But that I threw on a favorite rod. It's a 7-Eleven favorite. It's a big sexy. It's a heavy action rod. It's nice and parabolic though, so when you're punching, it really lets you. You don't want a super stiff rod that blows their mouth open because you got that big weight, and when that hits their mouth, it blows their lips open. So you gotta just kind of reel down, you just pull and set the hook on them, and it buries that up in there. So make sure you check that out. The first thing in the morning, the other thing I was doing was throwing a buzzbait. There's a little bit of a shad spawn going on left over. You'll see in another video. I'll talk about my practice a little bit, how it was going. But first thing in the morning, you could get a couple fish on this. This is a Z-Man Billy Goat. It's similar to the goat that I was punching, it's just a little bit bigger, you can see there. And I just threaded that right up on this buzzbait here. And I was paralleling the shoreline grass. And it was a very good pattern in practice, but that was when I was launching at 5:15 in the morning, and it was very dark, and we were getting ready to start our tournament. That wasn't until 6:30. So that delay there really hurt me. The shad spawn was just kind of wrapping up by the time I got there. I'd catch a couple. I think day 2, I only caught one short one in the morning on it. So it kind of is what it is. This is a favorite. This is the Rush series. It's a 731. It's a heavy action rod. And I was throwing that with Seaguar 17-pound line. That's fluorocarbon. I like to have that. Just you reel it as fast as you can, so I didn't think it mattered. I liked a little bit of stretch fluorocarbon has versus Braid. I didn't want to pull it away from them. And that's a Soleus XCS favorite reel. That's a 7:3-to-1. It's a pretty fast gear ratio, so it would get my bait up on the top real quick. But back to what I was targeting at Eufaula. So like I said, I was targeting that gator grass in the morning with the buzzbait, and then I would target the hyacinth mats in the afternoon when the sun got up and push those fish in there. And the fish, basically, there were some fish I think still on beds, not many, mostly post spawners, but they weren't out to the brush piles and ledges in full force yet. So I was personally more comfortable chasing those shallow fish, and it is why I went that direction. But if you hang out, you'll get to see the highlights from this tournament. I caught some decent ones, nothing crazy. And I'll go over day 1 in another video and practice. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Here we go. Number 1, punching a mat. See that? Angler tungsten 1-ounce weight. Z-Man Goat. Hayabusa flipping hook. Great combo. for number 2. That took a while. He's got some funky stuff going on. Billy goat. Damn. Effort. Baby number 3. He looks long and skinny. Let's see if he goes. Bass cap board out here. Oh yeah, 15-incher. Look at that. Killing it today. It's 3 times as many as I caught yesterday. Alright, so here we're going to be rigging up our punching rod that we're using today. It's a favorite. It's a 711 Big Sexy. It's a fairly stiff rod. You want that for the action when you're pulling those fish out of the mats like we're doing today. The key is it's got some parabolic bend to it, so that way it loads up throughout the rod. I'm throwing that with 65-pound Seaguar. It's Smackdown. It's a gray color, so it's fairly invisible. You don't have to worry about the fish seeing it. we're going to take our flipping box when we get it here for a second. I'm going to put a bobber stop on. What that does is just it pegs your big flipping weight, which we're going to be using an Angler Tungsten. It's a 1 ounce weight that we're going to be throwing on here. So what you do with these is you take it like so. There's a hole in it. Wet your line. Get it through there. The braid is grabbing it. There we go. So then you got your line on there, and you just peel it up. It slides right off that little keeper they got for it, and then you can see you got your bobber stop on there. I like to wet that. Just pull it up a little bit. You don't want to do that dry, just because then it'll actually kind of burn the bobber stop there. That's rubber, and make it larger, so it's not going to peg your weight as well. Here's a flipping hook. This is a Hayabusa. It's a 4.0. It's the FPP Straight. I got some braid on here from when I just cut off because I was retying. I was switching rods over. I wanted something a little bit heavier for what I'm punching here. Just gonna cut that strong Seaguar line off here. 1 second. There we go. Got that. Now we need our Angler Tungsten weight, which laying around somewhere. That's where I put it. There we are. Is that it? Yep, there it is. And you can see on it, it's black. It's got the 1 ounce sign on there. That way you know it's what size you're actually using. And that's important, just so you know the fall rate when you're fishing around different areas. So there, I got my weight on there, bobber stop, weight. Then we're gonna do the hook next. And with I use a punching setup, I like to snell the hook, which is when you put it through, you'll see it just like that. You grab it with your finger, make that loop, and you're gonna wrap it right up the shank of the hook. This one's gonna be a little tight. I should have left it a little bit longer later, but you wrap it up about 5 times using your finger to hold it on there. You can see it right there, it's all wrapped up. And you got that little tag end. Usually you want to leave that a little bit longer, but that loop you made, you're gonna drop it right through there, just like that. You pull this end, that cinches it down, just like that. Pulling that tag end line, you can see it made it nice and that's a snell knot. So when you drop your weight, you'll see when you set the hook, it actually kicks it out, puts it right in the roof of their mouth, gives you a little better chance of hooking them. I highly recommend snelling it. With braid, when you're fishing around that really heavy cover like that, I'll also do it just when I'm flipping anything with fluorocarbon, if I'm throwing 20-pound line. It's just a good all-around setup, good way to go. We've been catching some fish today doing this. We're gonna hopefully be able to get out there, catch a couple bigger ones. I got 1 keeper so far. It's about probably a little over 2-pounder. Next I'm gonna dig out what goes on there. That's the Z-Man goat. You see the Z-Man lockers. It's a great keeping box. Lets you keep everything all organized. Section, I have my green pumpkin. There's a green pumpkin. Z-Man goat. Really good bait. Caught a 9-pounder earlier this year on it down at Okeechobee. That's the biggest one I've landed on it so far, but it's really good bait. You can see it's got these little paddle tail legs there, and they just kick. So make sure you separate them when you get it. So they go like that when they fall. You're rigging this thing on this Hayabusa hook. You can see it's got that bait keeper. You're gonna take it, go through just a little bit like that, slide it up, then that little monofilament piece there holds your bait up. Then you take it, you'll see where it goes through, rig it, just like that. I like to keep it fairly buried in there, because when you set the hook, you're gonna set it real hard. Make sure you bury that hook into them, and just like that, you got your punching rig set up. 61.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How'd it go today? Better?
I got 3.